Hello everybody, Jim Malone here, coming to you live from Dallas Trading Floor. Well, I'm a bit late this morning, a little bit late here getting in. Sorry about that. Very exciting news, of course, on Tesla today. It was going to be added to the S&P 500, so that's kind of, doing some good things for it. It really is. It's making it move higher. And I didn't quite get it at the optimal buy point. I'm a little bit off. I mean, I tried to buy it on the rebound. Again, with the action trade alert came out, I knew that it was going to trade up and then pull back. That's kind of the way. But I do think that it's a good upward trend for that. The markets, they're kind of pulling back a little bit. Still kind of shaky when it comes to things, but we've definitely have some key levels on. We definitely have some key levels going in here. So I do think that we're in good shape going forward here. So I just kind of wanted to get into the slides a little bit. Basically here we go. The market is up, and this is even though this is down, it is moving. It pulled back here a little bit, but the trend of the market is up with the NASDAQ 11,920 when this was taken, just off slightly. Dow Jones a little bit down, and also the S&P. But the Dow made a kind of, just 2 days ago, kind of made an all-time high. So we hopefully we're moving, we're moving in the right direction, here. Basically, let's take a look at the SPDR. Now, the SPDR, of course, is the world's largest ETF, and this is many people have their entire net worth in here, and it covers the S&P 500 on a weighted basis. Now, this is where Tesla is going to move into, and two things: the Nasdaq went up today, as well as as well as the some of the other indexes. So when Tesla goes into the Nasdaq, you're going to see a lot more. You're going to see a lot more interest in. You're going to see a lot more interest in the. In the S&P as Tesla goes into it. Now, Tesla is going to be a major component of the S&P 500. So, this should buoy up the S&P a little bit. But very exciting news. The S&P was slightly down today, a little bit down. But in the future, what's going to start to happen, and I think this will support the price of Tesla, is that the funds that cover the S&P, and they're significant, like the SPDR, are going to have to basically invest, invest in Tesla stock. So this should push Tesla stock up a little bit. Just want to show you the QQQ. Of course, this is currently where the where Tesla is. It's in the QQQ. It will also remain in this index as well. But the key level on the Qs, I believe, is about 275, and we're above that. We're just moved up slightly today. So generally speaking, the direction is the trend is up. Now that said, it's kind of a weak trend, as you can see by the Dow. Here we go. Here's the Dow chart. It pulled back a little bit today. Sticking right about that 300 level. That seems to be some resistance there for the Dow. The rotation that everybody talked about, it doesn't seem to really have taken as much hold as as I would have thought. Would have thought it would. So. Home Depot announced fantastic earnings, and of course the stock went down. So this is why it's really important when you are trading. When you're coming into earnings, you want to mitigate your risk. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do this. One of the ways I do it sometimes is I will sell the position and wait for it to come through earnings. Or if I've built a fairly large position, I will typically sell half of the position and come through earnings, because sometimes it does move up after earnings, but many times it will pull back, and that's definitely the case with Home Depot. So you got to be careful when you're moving through earnings that you don't get you don't get shellacked. Here we go. Now I've been building a position in a very interesting stock called Tupperware. I mean, this is the old Tupperware of old, of the 1950s. I mean, I actually remember this stuff, and they used to sell it at parties, that your mother would host, and then they would have everybody over for coffee and bake the cake and then show off the Tupperware and then sell the Tupperware. So this is one of the original multi-level marketing companies. It's just doing terrific, and I just can't figure it out. I did a deep dive kind of in it. I bought it before I kind of really did a deep dive, but it did a deep dive into their stuff, and you know what? Where they're really doing well is overseas, and so that's very interesting. I think a lot of places in the world are kind of seeing some of the growth that happened in the United States in the 1950s, and I think Tupperware is increasingly popular in a lot of other places in the world. So they're doing quite well, and they're also moving out into fashion items, and so it's just pretty successful all the way around. And I'm trying to accumulate a position there now, but I got to give you an idea of where my current positions are that I'm trading. Of course, I'm in Cloudflare, and that was up a little bit today. Grayscale's done okay. It just keeps going up. Form factor is kind of stuck a little bit, but the volume is up. Don't know what I'm going to do with that. Probably, I may hang on to it a little bit, or I may sell it. Not sure. ResMed, RMD, I'm in that. It's down a little bit, but it's had a nice go. IMFI, I may have to get rid of that one. And then, of course, I was talking about Tupperware, just tremendous, up about $4 today. Really, really nice. And then I did enter Tesla today as well, and of course it's up significantly. But of course we kind of knew that last night with the announcement that it was moving into the that it was moving into the Fortune 5. I mean the S&P 500, and just kind of give you an idea of sort of how I'm trading. This is my small portfolio. And by the way, you can always take a look at this. Super easy to do. Just go over to www.Dallas Trading Floor and first and last name and subscribe for it for free. This is real time. This is where I'm trading. I'm only really down in one position. Kind of a little disappointing here. I entered at 450. I probably didn't quite have the best entry on this one. Currently, it's trading for 441. So down about 2%, about $17. Not a lot of shares, only 2 shares. This is the small portfolio, so the overall value is not that great. But Tupperware just keeps moving up, nice, up 11% in 2 days, so that's pretty nice. And then of course, Grayscale and Form Factor, they're up considerably. I do think that this one may be getting time to possibly trim if I can find something else better to go in there. But I still have some dry powder, and that's the cash here. So just kind of wanted to show you that real quick to see that. So let's look at some of the, thanks for waiting, everybody. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late today. So basically, go Tigers. In which direction are the Sharks going? Well, that's a good question. Very, very good question. I think, let's kind of take a look at, I think that they're going into some of the items. It's really hard to say, but I think let's take a look at Tesla. I do think that we are going to see some buying in here, but it's not going to be all at once. I don't think with Tesla, and I kind of wanted to show you the chart on this one. Okay, this top area here, which it made about in the beginning of September, 502.49. That is the pivot, essentially, for Tesla. But I want to kind of draw a line and show you kind of how I look at it when I'm looking to buy something. So what I do many times when I have a formation like this is I try to hopefully get a line here. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe there. Okay. So I usually will draw a trend line down here like that. You see. There we go. There's a trend line for Tesla, and then as you can see, where you want to kind of make an entry a lot of times when it pulls up like this is right about above this trend line. So you don't want to buy it below because it hasn't yet changed direction. So last night the trend of Tesla was downward. Okay, but on the news it changed direction, and you can see it gapped up. Well, you don't want to buy it until it has reached basically this level here, and that kind of shows you. So when it exceeds that, that's when you're buying, and that's kind of where I set my limit offer there, and that's probably why I bought it a little bit high at 450. I was waiting for it to confirm, but it looks like it is. It's up 33. It's up about 6% today, with increase in volume. So it's a nice volume spike on this as well. So that's something definitely to look at as well. So that kind of gives you a kind of a look at Tesla, and hopefully we'll see a move in there as well. Okay, buy point for Blink. Should it be 11.55? Okay, great question. And this is, of course, one of the ones that I had on the watch list a while ago, and I was in it, and I did exit it a little bit of time ago. Blink charging, and it's looking pretty good. It's up significantly today. So let's kind of look at this one. Thanks for this question. I really do like this. Really, it's tough to buy a stock like this, but we've seen some nice earnings here. I believe that the true buy point is going to be basically right about $14. There we go. Okay, so where could you buy this thing? Well, I don't think it's going to continue to move up quite as steeply as it's been. Let's look at the 5-minute chart to see. Yeah, okay. So it seems to be right about the 14 level. So that's good. And I do think that there is some resistance at that level, as you can see by the chart. The top it made back in July was 14.58. So currently it's at 14.15. So the question is, where is the buy point on this? Well, I believe that the buy point is approximately at that 14.50 line. It's not a true buy point. It's not a true buy point, but that's kind of where I would be looking to buy it. If it can move up on high volume above this line, I think that it's probably going to go higher. It's not going to change direction. There's a relative strength of 99. Also, we have this relative strength line here is moving up. Now, this is bullish because this just shows the overall direction against the S&P 500. So I do think that we're looking possibly for Blink charging, and I don't know. I don't have this currently on the watch list. I may put this one back on the watch list based on certain factors. Let's look at the buying criteria. Still excellent on this, 7 out of 9, and the funds are actually moving into this. It moved up. It's a pretty small cap stock, but it moved up from 20 to 28 quarter on quarter. So that is pretty good. I would want to see a close above 14.58 before I would probably go in with a buy on this one. But I'm probably going to put this on the watch list. So thank you very much for that. That's one of my favorite stocks, actually. I do really like Blink charging. So let's take a look at some people from TikTok. Thanks for holding on. Let's see if we have any questions from TikTok. And by the way, if you're looking on TikTok today and you want to you want to see the charts and everything, there's a green screen behind me on TikTok, but there's a live green screen behind me on YouTube at youtube.com/DallasTradingFloor. So if you want to see kind of the analysis in the charts and everything like that. So we have a question from TikTok, and the question is, what about symbol RITE? Let's take a look at RITE. Oh, I don't see anything there. No, RIDE. I apologize. It's RIDE. RIDE. And that's Lordstown Motors. Interestingly enough, I don't know about this company. Manufactures and designs electric vehicles in their 783-acre, $6.2 million square foot assembly facility. Interesting. Okay, well, I don't know much about this company, but everybody's getting in on the EV thing. Here's the thing. I'm looking at this chart right now. Let me pull up the chart so everyone can see it. This is Lordstown Motors. I'm not familiar with this, and I have not been looking at this. And but it does look like it reached a peak at 31.60 here, just recently. But it does appear it still has not. It still has a downward slope, but we're seeing some more activity and it's moving up. So let's see if we can buy this. I wouldn't buy this right now just because it doesn't have a strong enough checklist. Currently, the checklist is 5 out of 9, and my minimum is 6 out of 9. And there is a decreasing, unfortunately, fund ownership. So here's the thing. Here's my take on this one. This is possibly a watch list, but this is not strong enough a chart to buy, unfortunately. So unfortunately, RIDE. I think that, if we could see some more momentum up above the 3190 range, then we might be able to buy it. But currently, I would not be buying this one just because it doesn't have enough. It just doesn't have enough strength, unfortunately. Okay, I have a NEO call for the 27th. Do you think it will come up? Good question. Let's look at NEO. Everybody has been very interested in this, and of course, this has been one of the top performing Chinese automobile manufacturers, along with Li Auto. Li is a symbol on that one's NEO. And I have traded positions on the small portfolio in NEO. I'm currently not in the stock, but I have traded it, and it looks as if here's the one thing about this stock. I do believe we're going to see a pullback because it has moved in such a steep angle. Now, typically, when a stock moves like this, when it moves with this kind of an angle here, oops, let me see if I can get that. It's funny. I can't. Sometimes I can get the tool going, and sometimes not. So here we go. All right. Okay. There we go. See, this is such a steep angle, as you can see by this. This is such a steep angle that we definitely will see probably a pullback. Now it's up today at it's up today at 46.56. And the question is how much further can it pull up? I believe that it's going to pull back possibly to this line, and that is going to be about so I believe that this is going to pull back probably in the next few days about 41. So if you see a pullback to about 41 and then a reversal, then you could possibly buy it. But I wouldn't buy it right now, partially because we're almost in earnings. As the earnings are due, and it looks as if we are, it looks as if they are, according to this, they're due today, and I don't know what they're going to be like. But well, no, I'm sorry. They have already announced they made a loss of 16 cents down, and that's better than last year, which was 33 cents loss. So they've made a loss. So I do expect that there's going to be a bit of a pullback, coming possibly tomorrow. But let's look at the checklist. 8 out of 9 is excellent, and we have a fund ownership which is increasing in there as well at 483. So that's pretty good. Here's the thing. See how NEO trades tomorrow, and of course today is Tuesday, the 17th of November. Tomorrow will be, of course, the 18th, and Wednesday, obviously. See how it opens on Wednesday. If it pulls back to about 41 and then reverses, then I think you could possibly buy this. But I would be very, very careful buying this because I do expect that once the news settles in, because they did make a loss, it's not as bad a loss as I think people were expecting, but it could reverse lower. So be careful when buying this tomorrow if you're looking to buy this. I currently don't have this on the watch list. It's sort of moving in a very steep angle, and I do think we're going to see a pullback. But I'm very interested in buying it, but only when it pulls back. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking to do. Jim, according to your watch list, Newmont Mining is in a buy zone. Is it a good time to get into this? Well, it is on my my watch list, and NEM is, and Newmont Mining is basically starting to set up, I think, possibly for a nice run. I'm going to show you a little bit of the chart on this one. We have, it seems to have pulled right to the 21-day line. Now, you don't want to buy a stock like this if it's moving down, and currently it's moving down. But if there's a reversal off of this, we possibly could we possibly could see a move higher. I'm not sure about this. This is not a strong upward trend. Currently, the trend on this currently we have a downward. We are currently downward trending on this, but let's take a look at this to see if we have a potential reversal here that we could trade off of. Okay, right now that is the trend. Where it broke the trend was basically right here at the beginning of November. It is a sense it moved above the 40-day line, and then it's pulled back to the 21-day. So if there is a reversal approximately here, I do think if there's a reversal, what I mean by reversal is that the candle will come down to it, it will land there, and then it will reverse. If there's a reversal there, that possibly will signal a movement higher. If this reverses, that will signal a movement higher. And it changed the trend. It changed trend here, and then it went up, and then it's kind of moved around here a little bit. But when this trend changes, then it potentially will move higher in this trend. So that's the kind of thing I want to show you. It's still got a very strong checklist. It's 8 out of 9. Okay, that's pretty excellent. And I think you'll see it's got an increasing fund ownership. So if this thing reverses off the 21-day line, and I probably should revise my watch list, I do think this is a buy. I actually do think this is a buy. This is one of the better gold mining companies out there. So I really appreciate that question. Would I buy it today? No, I wouldn't buy it today, only because I want to see a reversal off that 21-day line. But when there's a reversal off the 21-day line, that strategically might be a place to buy. Let's kind of look at the 5-minute chart to see if, yeah, okay, we don't want to buy currently. Here's the 5-minute chart, and I want to show you this. Currently, we're moving down, and there was a big sell signal here. So we have to see if this thing reverses. If this thing reverses, then we might be able to get back into a buy mode. But currently, it's not a buy tactically at this moment when we're of this broadcast. But it will, if it changes character and reverses off that 21-day line, then I think you might find that it will work very well. Thank you very much for that, Robert. I really appreciate that question. Hi, Jim. What platform do you use for GBTC? Because I am a EU citizen and not residing in the U.S. You know what? That's a good. Thank you. Thank you for watching me from the EU. GBTC is called the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and what it is it's an ETF, and everything is quoted in is quoted in dollars. So if you can get I don't know, depending on where you are, but if you can get TD, Toronto Dominion, TD Ameritrade, or TD, or Charles Schwab, or Fidelity, I don't know if you can get any of those, but if you can, then that's easy. It's easy to buy that. I'll kind of show you where it is currently, GBTC. The reason I like trading this as opposed to the actual Bitcoin is because with this, you could move in and out. Now, everything I'm showing you is quoted in US dollars, but I believe, and I know a lot of people in Canada trade this and on the show, and they trade it in Canadian dollars, but I do believe that if you can open an account at Charles Schwab or possibly at TD, I'm pretty sure that you can trade this, and it would be very, very easy to do. Very nice. It's had some very nice look on it. As you can see, it's up strongly today, up $1.30. The reason I recommend this one is I do believe, because of the uncertainty with the U.S. election, I think that people increasingly are going to be interested in possibly protecting their portfolios. And gold is not necessarily, because of the deflationary nature of the markets right now, gold may not be the place to be. So this offers a sort of a very nice hedge on the market. This is the general trend of it, which is very nice, a very nice slope, as you can see. Very nice slope on that. We were pulled a little bit high. I do expect it to correct back to this line, because remember, when a stock is moving, it will move up the trend line, but then it will pull back and bounce off of it. If you'll notice, it's almost exactly paralleling this line here, which is the 21-day exponential. That's the little green line here. So if we look at the slope of this green line, and we've kind of drawn a line beyond it, that's kind of the trend that it's going on. And if there's no change in trend, and I don't expect that there will be, because we've got a very nice buy signal here. Just want to show you that. This is the volume bar, and you always look at that. There's a very nice volume spike here, which means that people are moving into the stock. So long story short, the GBTC is a great place to trade Bitcoin. They hold about 4% of the world's Bitcoin, and it's easy to get in and out of. Now, unfortunately, outside of the United States, they're going to charge you commissions on this. Unfortunately, if you could somehow get an account inside the United States, you could trade this commission free, and that's really the way I like to trade it. It's a lot less expensive to trade that way. But I do believe that you should be able to get a Charles Schwab account in the EU to do this, and so you could trade this in euros. But I do think it's a great way to go. It typically mirrors the general direction of of Bitcoin. So it's a great way to just a great way to be in Bitcoin without having to actually buy Bitcoin, buy and sell Bitcoin with the bid-ask issues. So I really do appreciate that. Okay, so how do you play Tesla from here? Well, good question. Here's the thing, Tesla. Let me show you the buy points on Tesla, and I just kind of want to bring up the chart. This is the daily chart, but I'm going to move to the weekly chart here to kind of give you sort of a preview of kind of the way it's going. You see, we're still in a very, very nice, we're still in a very, very nice trend on Tesla, even with the corrections that we've had recently. But more importantly, and this is the more important thing, is that today with the announcement we have changed, we have moved to an uptrend. We had a short-term Tesla in the last week or so has been in a downtrend, okay? But this news obviously moved it to the upside. So if we draw a line like this here, you can see now it's trading above this line. Why is that important? Well, because it's trading above this line, it has changed its general direction. So where do I see the best place to buy Tesla? Well, there's two buy points, and I want to point them out to you. The first one is right here at 465.90. Now, why is that important? Well, the reason that's important is you can see even now Tesla moved up to that buy point, but it didn't move through it. So Tesla still has to move above this buy point here, this 461. This 465.90 buy point. Once it does that, and I do believe it will, then the next major resistance is going to be here at 502.19, 502.49, excuse me, and if it moves to that. So basically, right now, we're early in the move of Tesla higher. We're early in the move on Tesla higher, so you don't want to put on a full position. Now, what do I mean by a full position? Well, if you take your value of your portfolio and you divide it by 8, and you consider each one of those 8 pizza slices are essentially one position. So at this point, I wouldn't recommend putting on more than possibly one full position. So about 1/8 of your total value of your portfolio. Wait hopefully for Tesla to move above 465.90. If it does, then add it to the position. But if you're buying Tesla right now, slowly move into it. It's behaving a little bit differently than it was prior to prior to about the August timeframe. I mean, the August timeframe, it was just in a complete movement up. But now it's starting to based, and hopefully when it moves above 465.90, then I think we've got more of an all clear to buy. So that's kind of my strategy on Tesla. And of course, I'll be putting out strategy alerts on at the action, the action trade alerts, and they're super easy to get. All you have to do is go to www.dallastradingfloor.com, and we have sign up for them. They're free, first and last name and email address, and you'll be good to go for those action trade alerts. Okay, so let's take a look at TikTok. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for tuning in on TikTok. I really appreciate it, of course. What happened to PFE? I'm confused. They merged, but the PFE ticker is still there. Let's look at PFE. I think that's Pfizer. I believe PFE. PFE. Let's see. No, I guess not. Well, let's see if I can answer that question for you. Yeah, Pfizer. It's definitely there. Of course, both Pfizer and Moderna have announced they have vaccines for the coronavirus, which is very exciting. Now, Moderna's vaccine does have some advantages over Pfizer's vaccine in that it is it could be stored at closer to room temperature. The Pfizer vaccine has to be stored basically cryogenically, so it's not quite it doesn't seem like it's quite as good as the Moderna vaccine. But here's the thing about Pfizer. It's not really in a buy range right now, and as you can see, the relative strength is 28. I typically look at stocks that are at least 80. It does also have a downward trend, and this, you just don't want to buy in a downward trend if you don't have to. And you really never have to. So this is not a buy right now. The checklist is not very good. 4 out of 9, 6 out of 9 is my minimum. Also, we do have decreasing fund ownerships, but just slightly. It's not a bad stock, but there are better stocks out there than Pfizer. So I thank you very much for that question. All right, so what about Riot? R-I-O-T. That's the symbol there. R-I-O-T is the symbol for Riot Blockchain. And, blockchain is a tremendous technology, of course, and this is one of the plays on it. It is definitely in a buy right now. Now, normally, stocks like this, I'm a little bit careful on because, $6 a share. Any stock that's below $10 a share, it tends to be, the small movements tend to amplify. It tends to be much more volatile. I typically don't like to lose any more than 7% on any particular stock, so I always set a stop loss. But this one, interestingly enough, may be a buy. Okay, looking at the chart. I really appreciate, Marcin, this heads up. I'm going to look at it to see possibly if we can analyze it tonight and maybe put it on the watch list. I want to look at a few things about this just to see kind of where we're going at here. It's got a 7 out of 9. That's 6 out of 9 is my minimum for buying a stock like this. Let's look at the fund ownership. You don't actually has fund ownership. That's very good. This is a very relatively small cap. Let's look at the industry. The industry is not good. It's 148 out of 192. So this is a little bit of a potentially it's in the finance sector. That's very interesting. So that it may be misclassified in there. We just don't know. Let's look at the weekly chart to see if there's any buy point on this. It did, when it came out of the box, it was very strong, but it has pulled back, and it looks like it has changed. It looks like it has changed direction. There is a buy point on this one. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Well, it's a first stage. Wow, that's excellent. The first stage pivot is at 331. So I'm going to put that out there on the chat. This won't help. It'll be extended, but Riot, R-I-O-T, blockchain, the buy point is equal to $3.31. Now, currently, it's selling for it's selling for $6, but it's pulled up. So this might actually be buyable. Normally, I would never do this on a stock that was above $10, but this actually may be buyable. Actually, at its current at its current configuration, it seems like it's had some interest in it. It seems like a lot of interest in it, actually. And I am looking with the Panorac. I have software that basically looks for buy points. Yeah, there's a buy point right there at a second stage cup with handle 426. So I'm going to put Riot Blockchain second stage buy point is equal to that's very interesting. Wow, 426. Isn't that interesting? 426. So I'm going to put that out. Put that out. Okay, is equal to $4.26. Okay, so let's put that out there in the chat. By the way, everybody looking at that's looking on TikTok, I am actually sending the buy points, putting the buy points into the chat. So if after you watch this, you want to get an idea of kind of where some of the buy points are that I've identified, super easy to do. Just go to youtube.com/DallasTradingFloor, and then this is episode number 176. So you can just scan through the chat and take a look at the buy points. I'm trying to note them so that they'll be out there. But I really appreciate that, Marcin. That's very interesting. I may actually feature that one on a buy alert, because that's looking good. I do like the area that it's in. I do think blockchain is going to be a massive technology. Okay, DraftKings buy coin. Let's take a look, see if we've got a buy point on DraftKings. Of course, that's symbol DKNG. I think that's DKNG, is that right? Yeah, DraftKings, there we go. Okay, well, here's the thing. DraftKings did, it has been in a downward trajectory. It looks as if, though, it has changed character, because it looks like it's bounced at 34.90. So it's currently at 46.61. So the question is, where can we buy this thing? Well, I believe that the best buy point on this is going to be at the 40-day line, and I'm going to show you that. There we go. You see, that's this red line here, and there is a pivot on there from this consolidation base. The pivot is at 44.79. So let me put that out there. DKNG buy point on a first stage consolidation is 44.79. All right, great. We're going to just put that out there, and that's a first stage consolidation base. All right, very good. And we're going to put that out there in the chat. Now, let's take a look at the criteria. I do like the fact that the relative strength line is moving up. I do think that is very, very bullish. As you can see, it's moving to the upside. So that's good. So that's definitely a good buy signal. Let's look at the checklist. It's 6 out of 9. That's my minimum, but I definitely like to see that. It's got increasing fund ownership. I'm liking that. Fidelity Contra Fund is in there. By the way, if you see Fidelity Contra Fund in any of these stocks, that is sort of like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They're very, very successful in terms of buying growth stocks. So Fidelity Contra Fund, the fact that they actually have a position in it, that's very strong. And let's look at the industry. Well, it's 32 out of 197. DraftKings may be back because it looks pretty good. I'm thinking about watch list for that tomorrow on DraftKings. So I may put that one on the watch list. I'm going to go see if I can pull out some of the things that I have on the watch list. But this is looking pretty good in terms of this trend. I'm liking this trend off of this low. So if it can pull beyond the this buy point and this average, I think we may have a buy. So this, depending on how it opens tomorrow, It's up $3.88. This may be a very good buy tomorrow. So I thank you very, very much for that information. That's excellent. I'll also try to put that out on the watch list. And by the way, if you're looking to see kind of, I'm talking about this watch list, and where do you go? Where do you see this thing? Well, I have incorporated a link in the website that allows you to see it. You can just go quickly look at it, and basically this is the way the website looks. And as you can see, there's this thing down here called watch list. Just click on that, and then there's a button that says push here to see Jim's current watch list. And if you do that, it brings the watch list right up there so you can see it. And I try to maintain this as much as I can, and it's definitely I typically to buy something in the small portfolio, it'll be on the watch list first, and we'll buy some. Okay, so Palantir. That's a question from TikTok. So let's look at Palantir and let's look at the entry points on Palantir. I did sell out of Palantir before earnings. I did that just to protect my gain. Had a very nice gain in there before earnings on Palantir. Just kind of show you that really quickly. Even though I've sold it, I probably will be back in. It's just such a strong stock. As you can see, Palantir Technologies held it basically for 6 days for a 26% gain. Now, can we do that again? Well, maybe. let's kind of look and see if there's any entry points into Palantir. It's just going up and up and up and up. It's $17.85 today, up $1.92. So just looking very strong. Let's see if we on the 5-minute chart there's any place to buy this. Okay, it looks like it is seeing a little bit of resistance at about the 1874 level. So the question is, can we change and can we make a buy there? Well, let's look at the daily. See, there just isn't really the problem with buying this. This is like a bottle rocket. It's very hard to buy these because it's in such a steep ascent. I do think this is probably going to go higher though. There's just a lot of demand for this. We're still below the 52-week high, but the top, the basically high low is 1706 to 890. So it's at an all-time high currently on Palantir. So the question is where to buy it. I want to see a pullback, possibly to the $16 level. I don't know if we're going to get that though on Palantir. I just don't know if we're going to get that with Palantir. It's just such a strong stock. I do think though that it's buyable if it pulls back to about 1650 or so. I may be considered going back in it. I want to put PLTR on the watch list again. It's been on the watch list, and let's take a look. I just want to see how I was showing that on the watch list. So Palantir, yeah, okay, Palantir, and I've got it highlighted here on the watch list. So let's take a look, kind of to see, where we have the buy points. Palantir right now, I have a buy point on the 10-day line, and this is old. So the new buy point on Palantir is going to be considerably higher. I'm looking at about the $16 level on the the $16 level. It looks like on the 10-day. Yeah, so it's 16 on the 10-day. So that probably is going to have to be revised. It's with a stock like Palantir that's basically a lot of people are buying. It's going to be difficult. I want to see a pullback on it before I'm going to be back in it, but it's going to be, it's on the watch list, and I may move it up in terms of the, a little bit higher. So I really appreciate those. Those two are interesting. Riot Blockchain, really appreciate bringing that to my attention. And also, Riot Blockchain, DraftKings, and Palantir. I mean, they're all potentially viable. So very, very interesting. Okay. Walmart and GM. As you know, let's take a look at Walmart here. WMT first. WMT, and I think they reported they just reported, yeah, their earnings were just stellar. It just seems like they just know how to do it. But here's the thing. This is why I always recommend when a stock is coming into earnings, even if it's the best stock around, and Walmart definitely falls in that category. Consider selling it right before earnings, because it almost always pulls back, and you can see that's exactly what happened with Walmart. So it's pulled back. Now the question is, will it go higher? Well, it's in a consolidated base, which is an okay base, but it's not a great one. Let's look at the weekly chart. There definitely is. It's called a flat base, consolidated base. There is a pivot at 151.33. It is currently selling for 149.37. Here's the thing, with Walmart, I wouldn't buy this until you reach the pivot. So, with Walmart, with WMT, the buy point on this one, and what do I mean by buy point? Well, what the buy point is it's sort of a resting place. Stocks don't go up or down in a straight line. They go to they come up and they sit and kind of like step, and then they trade in between a range, and then they move beyond that. So the basically the resting place or the step for Walmart is 151, and let's see, 151.33 is where the buy point is for Walmart. So I'm just going to put that out on the chat as well. Again, I'm not saying that you should necessarily buy it at the buy point, but at the buy point, if the stock moves above the buy point on heavy volume, that means typically that's going to be the new floor for it, at least in the near term. So, would I recommend Walmart at this time? Well, let's look at Walmart. Walmart is not as much of a recommend as some of these other stocks, just because it's more mature. So 5 out of 9, which is not good enough for me. I won't buy a stock typically that is not at least 6 out of 9 on the O'Neill checklist. And of course, this is for growth stocks. I also look to see very much the funds, how the funds are in it. Now, one thing very good about Walmart is Fidelity Contra Fund is in there, and that is a very, very good fund. They have very good stock pickers there. So I like that. But would I buy this one right now? Would I buy Walmart? Probably not. And I probably don't even watch list it because it's below my minimum. And the minimum typically is it has to have 6 out of 9 of the checklist. Now let's look at GM. GM is an interesting play because GM may become the largest vehicle manufacturer in China. And interestingly enough, it has a very interesting chart. Now, I have never owned GM, just being, being very, very upfront here. It has not been a growth stock since since the 1920s, but they went through a bankruptcy in 2013. That's why if you look at the history for GM, it just stops at 2013. You're like, why? Well, the reason is because it's two companies. Prior to 2013, it went all the way back to the 1920s, but then they went bankrupt in 2013, and they were bailed out by the U.S. government. But one of the good things from this is that they got rid of all their debt, and because this is the Obama administration, instead of investing in car and truck plants in the United States, where the growth was slowing, they went to China and they invested in China. It's very controversial at the time, but interestingly enough, they are becoming one of the largest vehicle manufacturers in China. That said, is there a way to buy this thing? Well, it has a relative strength of 88, which is excellent, actually. It's a little bit low in terms of the volume, but people are starting to come in to this stock, and I suspect that the funds may be very interested in this. So let's look at the checklist. 7 out of 9. It's got 7 out of 9 criteria. Again, 6 out of 9 is my minimum, so it definitely meets that. And let's look, and this is really the stellar thing. If you look at the number of funds, the funds are actually increasing in this, which is interesting. I do believe that a lot of the funds are realizing that maybe for long term, we're still gonna want cars, and even though Tesla is probably going to be the number one in the electrical vehicle space, there's still a lot of people that buy those Silverados and cars like that. As long as they don't have to discount and do rebates, they're going to do very, very well probably with this low interest rate environment. So let's look at the sector. It's number 6 out of 197. So we're definitely in a very good sector. So is GM a buy? Well, I am not buying it yet, but I definitely like that trend line. I think that trend line is excellent. Now, I'm looking for a place that I can buy it. So I'm going to click over here to the weekly chart to see, is there a place that I can buy it? Well, based on the chart that I'm looking at, we're almost to the level where it is buyable. You see the red line that I just drew across? We want to see it basically move above 45.35. If it does, then I think we have a stock that is going to move a lot higher. So I am looking, I'm watch listing this one right now. I want to see it move to about 45 or so. It's at 41.98. It's up today 79 cents, which on a volume basis is tremendous. It's 1.92. So is it on the watch list? Absolutely. And I do think it's one that, normally I would never recommend a stock like this. But I think that there's certain things that are very appealing about GM, at least for right now. So that's my take on General Motors. Okay, so interestingly, I have TGT, and normally would sell into earnings. That's very good. But KSS and WT reporting strong earnings today. Should I hold them through earnings? Could you take a look at TGT chart and share your thoughts? Absolutely, Byron. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, let's look at TGT. And look, Target, of course, is a truly great stock, like Walmart is. I mean, really, these are the two big retailers that are really gaining share from the other companies, like, the ones that have gone out of business, like JCPenney. Unfortunately, I love JCPenney's, but it went under, which is very sad. But Target, they know how to operate. Earnings are in one day. Here's the thing: what do I see on the horizon? It depends on how much you have. It's got an 86 relative strength, but there's a little bit of a flag here on the technical, and I want to show you this. Do you see how I'm drawing a line parallel to the relative strength line? It's pointing down. I do believe this portends, and this isn't 100%, but because that's pointing down, I think coming into earnings, we are seeing a deceleration of the acquisition. Now let's look at the volume. Yeah, we've had some good volume, but it is dropping. It's still to the buy side, which is good. I think, to be safe on this one, I would sell half of my position, because I do think it probably will go lower after earnings, even if the earnings are very good. Now, it's a very strange thing. Many times people will buy thinking the earnings are great, and they turn out to be super. That's happened with Walmart. But the thing is, it's the old adage, buy on rumor, sell on news. And essentially, people, once they have confirmed that it's making profit, that's when people sell. So I would be very careful about Target. I would probably lighten up on it, or possibly sell it, especially if you've had a decent gain on it, because it's just heartbreaking when you do a round trip on a stock. Now, I don't know where you bought it, and that's very important to where you bought it, but doing a round trip on a stock really stinks. So protect some of your profit if you have profit now. I consider selling half your position. If we're wrong on this, and it does move up, you can buy it back. Now, in case you won't buy as many shares, but you will protect yourself from potential loss. So I like to sell into earnings. Sometimes I sell the whole position. Sometimes I sell the half position. With Target, because it's much more a stable company, consider selling half a position into earnings. So that's sort of how that's working. Halo. Let's look at Halo. Halo. Just want to see this one. Everybody, thanks for bringing up some of these stocks. I mean, these have been. Oh yeah, I know about this one. This is a tremendous stock. I was looking at this one this morning, and yeah, Guillermo, this is really a good one. It's $40.78. It's up $1.39, or almost 5%. So relative strength rating of 95. That is excellent. It's just come through earnings. I really like that. This is looking like you could buy this thing. Why? Because it's come through earnings. Let's look at the checklist on it. Boy, that's a good checklist. 8 out of 9. I'm really liking that. and we have increasing fund ownership. So, boy, this has got a green light for buying. I like this one. Let's see if there's any entry point that we can find for this. Okay, we're out of the buy zone, unfortunately. Okay, where I would try to buy this one, it looks like this is just marching right up that 10-day line. You know, I think that you could possibly buy it if it pulls back to about 38, 34. It's going to be tough to buy this one because I don't think this is, I think this is moving up from here at this point. I'm looking at the relative strength line, and it looks like it's pointing up. So this looks like it's probably going to move a lot higher quickly. Let's look at the 5-minute chart. To get a, yeah, look at that 5-minute chart. Wow, that is really, it's pulled off a little bit here, basically at the close, but there was buying at the close. I really like seeing that. So this is buyable, absolutely buyable, and you know, definitely up on the close, and it's all the way to the top of the candle. So that's showing a lot of strength. I definitely think you could buy this one. I definitely think you could buy this one. If I bought this one though at this level, I would set a stop loss at about 3%. So it's a little bit more speculative. But Guillermo, this is excellent. Thank you for sharing this, and you know, I definitely like this one. I was looking at this one this morning myself. Halo, and that is Halozyme Therapeutics is the name of that company. Okay, so I think we have time for about one more. Let's do two. Okay, what do you think about BA? You know, I used to love this stock, and I think that BA has some serious problems. That's Boeing, of course, for everyone out there. Boeing last month did not sell a single airplane, not a single airplane, and you know, that is not looking good. Do we have a change in direction? Let's take a look. All right, it is a downward trend here, unfortunately, so I'm not liking that. You know, that's not what I want to see. There we go. It's a downward trend now. The downward trend was broken, it looks like, about at the beginning of November, and since then it's been moving up. So the question is, can we buy this thing going forward? You know, I'm a little bit afraid at 210. I mean, it's up today, $7, but until it moves beyond this level, I'm not even interested at 234. Let's look at the checklist to see if there's anything to do. Yeah, this just isn't a good enough checklist, and the funds and ownership, you know, it just isn't. Yeah, this is decreasing funds. I just think that you want to probably steer clear of this for right now. I think if you're looking for a legacy company that is a, you know, that has some potential, you know, look at GM instead of Boeing. I just don't think Boeing is going to give you the, you know, the big thing. Okay, Mr. Sid, why Moderna is going down today? Well, this is a classic, and this is the thing when you're buying story stocks. It's very hard. Moderna is a classic story stock in that because they have announced this vaccine, there was a lot of excitement, and now that people know about it, there's a sell-off. So that happens a lot on story stocks. Story stocks are very hard to trade because you're not trading as much on fundamentals. And this tends to be an issue when you're dealing in some of the pharma stocks because they tend to be, you know, unless they're the big pharma stocks like the, you know, like the Mercks of the world, they tend to be very, very volatile with their earnings and sales. So that can be an issue. But let's look at, you know, let's look at Moderna, and that's probably the last one for today. But mRNA. mRNA. Let me get that right. Moderna. Yeah. Okay. It's pulled back a little bit, but it still looks like it's in a decent trend. Let's look at it. The buy point on Moderna on a consolidation basis, 95.21. So we are below the. Okay, it tried to break out and it failed. So this is a failed breakout. Okay, that's basically what happened. So it's a failed breakout. On at let me see, and that's Moderna, mRNA. The failed breakout at the buy point is 95.21 at 95.21. So what can you do on that? Well, I'm afraid you're probably going to have to wait on this one. This definitely could go higher. It does. It has an upward trending chart, but unfortunately, and I want to kind of point this out here. This is a little indicator. I love this little indicator, and unfortunately, it's only available on the software that I'm using currently. It's not available on a lot of the other free software. But this little line here, it pulls down, so therefore, it's probably not a time to buy this. Wow, this is a good question. If you have a loss on this, I would possibly consider, cutting your losses on this one, because this could move back down to about the $81 level from the $93 level. So I think it could retreat a little bit from there. Okay. Basically, yes, I am live on YouTube. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. I am live. I do broadcast live every day at 2:30 when I get online. I was a little bit late today. From 2:30 to 3:30 Central Standard Time here in Dallas, Texas, on YouTube. But it's also available in a podcast form on Spotify and on Google Podcasts. So until tomorrow, thanks. And everybody, if you're interested in getting the action trade alerts, it's super easy to do. All you have to do is go over to the website, www.DallasTradingFloor, and first and last name and a good email address for you. And of course, it's all free. And we'll send you out the action trade alerts. I sent out one on Tesla basically last night, and just depends on how I'm trading and that. And also, the website has my watch list, which is also can be very interesting if you're looking to kind of compare your notes. So that's a good way to go. Thanks again for everybody in watching me, and till tomorrow at 2:30. Happy trading.